What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and today we have some of the top competitors from Central Georgia's Strongest Man that just happened this past weekend on Saturday. Charlie Jackson and Ilennis Landrau. Welcome to both of you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So I think what we want to start off with this week is actually sort of a sad story for those of you who haven't, who didn't see Central Georgia's Strongest Man. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. So a tragedy befell really a beloved strongman, Shannon Willits. And so we wanted to kind of share what's going on with that. And there is a GoFundMe going on for Shannon and for his family. So Shannon unfortunately passed away competing last weekend. He was actually in the lead when it happened, and he was competing with his daughter, Gabby Willits. So really a tragedy and a great family to support. So the organizers of Central Georgia's Strongest Man, the Fields family, Nicole and Greg Fields, put together this GoFundMe to help out the family. And I really want to urge everybody in the audience to consider, if you can, consider helping out. It's a great family. Shannon was always very kind to me, as has been Gabby, his daughter. And I just want to encourage you to go take a look at that. We'll put it in the description below. So we'll bring it up a little later again for anyone who joins kind of halfway through the stream. But we wanted to start off here with this story. So there you have it. So Isaac, what have you been working on this week that might be interesting to the viewers?
Well, I haven't made any recent videos, just with school and all that. I've been pretty swamped. Both my wife and I are taking classes right now, and then we have the 2 kids and all that. My folks are visiting, so it's been a hectic week. But I am working on a whole series about powerlifting versus strongman versus CrossFit versus weightlifting, kind of the origins of each, the rules of each, how they kind of each evolved. And also trying to give you a good understanding of what each of them entails, so that if you're interested in pursuing one versus the other, you kind of know what you're getting into. So that's kind of what I'm trying to work on right now. Obviously, I'm trying to do it in my free time, which is limited. So I'm not sure how much longer it's going to take before I can start releasing this series. But that's what I've got in the works at the moment.
Awesome. And you recently completed a really good series on World's Ultimate Strongman. So I urge everybody to go check that out. And while we're at it, make sure you like this stream. At the end of the stream, make sure to head over on to Isaac's channel, Hunger Smash Fitness, subscribe to his channel, watch a bunch of his stuff, and like it all and comment on it all. As I would ask you to do on my channel as well, which we'll take a look at in a second at what I've been working on. But really cool, Isaac. So what was your biggest surprise in World's Ultimate Strongman? And for if Ilennis and Charlie want to jump in on this, if you watched it, what were your biggest surprises?
Biggest surprise? Most of my predictions with how athletes were going to do were fairly accurate, actually. I think over 50% of my predictions were within one placing of where the athlete actually finished. So I felt pretty proud of myself for that. I think the biggest surprise was Rhino Heinle didn't do nearly as well as I thought he was going to do. I gave him a lot more credit, I guess, than I guess I should have. I didn't hear whether he was just having a bad day or, and that's the thing with strongman. If it's not your set of events or if it's not your day, so much can fluctuate so easily. So I think he was my biggest shocker with that. Most of the other ones were fairly close. If you haven't watched it already, the surprise event was the flag hoist, and that was actually super fun to watch, just because I felt like it was a throwback to kind of the older strongman type competitions, and so it felt kind of more back in like Kaz's day and stuff, when you used to see them doing these crazy events with the kegs, running around the castle and all that sort of stuff. And so it was kind of fun to see an event kind of more like that, where it was kind of a throwback. But yeah, if you want to watch it all, you can definitely check out the video. I have the whole predictions and outcomes video, and what I got right, what I got wrong, and all that sort of stuff. It looks like it's the 3rd video down from the ones I've posted on my channel.
Nice. And Charlie, you're nodding. Do you have thoughts about the flag hoist?
Oh, I just loved that event. It was a very fresh event. I enjoyed watching it.
So let me ask you a follow-up. If you had a choice of some other mystery event, what would you have chosen?
Ooh. I love front carries and things like that. So I'm always if I'm gonna choose something for myself, it's always gonna be picking something up in front.
And how about you, Ilennis? What would you pick for an event that maybe isn't standard? Kind of, what would be your favorite surprise event if you showed up at a competition?
I don't know, like I'm just starting in this and just kind of like trying to see videos and stuff. Something that looks like pretty challenging would be like those like natural stones like in platform or some sort, because it really doesn't matter how much you practice, the form of the stone like can change everything.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've asked some other strong men that I've interviewed, how do you go about finding a natural stone? Like, you need a natural stone of a certain weight. Like, how do you find it? And it's funny, like, I was expecting a more formal answer than I got. Like, I get, like Matt McDougall said, I walk in the forest and find one. Like, I didn't expect that kind of answer. Steve Schmidt told me a really interesting answer. He was like, well, I'm really into fossils, so I like to go down by the river and try to find fossils. And as I'm fossil hunting, like there's inevitably like nice natural stones that you can lift there, and that's how I find them. So it's always really a cool, interesting story on how people find their natural stones.
Yeah, that's how I ended up grabbing the two that I was using for a while. Was I went on a hike and I found them out in the woods, and they were like 100 yards from the parking lot or so. I was like, hey, these are pretty nice looking stones. They're mostly roundish, but they kind of have some little holds on them here and there. And they were both, I think we weighed one of them, and it was the low 200s. It was like 220, something like that. And I forget what the other one was. That was kind of fun, just like picking them up, wiping all the dirt and moss off and everything, and then trying to lug them out to the car. And I was like, oh, now I need to take it because I put so much effort into stealing these from the mountains. So
yeah, so I think let's jump into what I've been working on this week later. For now, let's talk about Central Georgia, because I think that's kind of the hot topic right now. And so for either of you, whoever would like to go first, how did you first become aware of Central Georgia Strongest Man? Did you compete there before? Ilennis, I think this was your first competition, if I'm not wrong. But maybe for Charlie, like how did it come across your desk? Have you been there before? And like, what attracted you to Central Georgia Strongest Man?
Proximity. I'm actually pretty new to Strongman as well. So I was just going on Iron Podium, and I live in Atlanta, so 2-hour drive is not too shabby.
Nice. Well, you ended up doing pretty well. Both of you placed second, if I'm not wrong. Let's go ahead and share those results. So here's Ilennis here, second place in the novice women's heavyweight. And then, Charlie, you were, let's see, down here somewhere.
In 275.
There you go. So what were your favorite events?
For me was the press medley.
Okay. I gotta say, maybe the press was your favorite, but the crowd favorite was the stone over bar.
I never trained with a 200-pound stone. The most that I was training was 150. And, since I have so short arms, without the tacky, it was always slipped off of me. And so that was definitely a challenge. And I know, stones goes with strongman. So that will definitely be something that I will have to put way more work than any other stuff in the future.
Yeah, I mean, the determination was definitely there. So, I mean, Isaac, I don't know if you caught it. Charlie, you were there, so you definitely saw it. But Ilennis put some real, like, never say die effort into getting that stone over. So it was really, really, really cool to watch.
Yeah, like one of my goals was like, don't zero in any event. Just do at least one rep. So I got it.
That's awesome, especially if you haven't trained that weight before. That was amazing. So the height of the bar, is it static? Like, do they move it for your height, or you have to do the height that every woman had to do?
It's the same height for everyone. So also being short, that being like the bar is like right here for me, then it said like Sarah, that it was like right here or so. So yeah, it's like I have to put it all the way into my face to be able to pass it through the bar.
They had to flip the yoke cross member over for you when you ran the yoke, didn't they?
Yes, because when we put it like on the lowest set the day before on the weight ends, and I was like, this is too high. And he was like, well, we can drill another hole to it now. And they ended up flipping it.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine having to get an Atlas stone up that high to get it like into your face, as you say, to get it over. That's crazy.
Well, Alabama's strongest man has a keg load for height. That's going to be one of my next competitions. So I think it's a 350-pound keg for height. So we'll see how that goes.
Do you know what the starting height is? Is it a set starting height, or does everyone pick their initial height and then you get 3 tries from there?
I think it's 3 tries.
Okay.
So
you're going to start at like 70 inches and just throw everyone off?
Well, I'm going to see if I can do a 350-pound keg press and just only do one and then be done with it.
How tall are you, Charlie?
I'm 6'4".
Okay, so you're when it rains earlier than everybody else, like Isaac, he's 6'5".
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 6'5", so yeah, a lot of the time with it, when it's set at like a 54-inch platform or something like that, I'm like, oh, that's doable. And then I'm working out with another guy who I think he's 5'7", 5'8", something like that. And so setting it at a 54-inch platform, he's like, this is way too tall. Can't we start with the lower thing and work up to it? And, well, all right.
Yeah, so Ilennis, you mentioned Sarah. She's pretty amazing from a fan's perspective. What was it like competing against her? She's only 16.
She's pretty amazing. Like the energy was great, and I really enjoyed like competing against her. Her dad was always like very like supportive as well, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, so I was watching her prep going into that because she actually took over. Her dad was supposed to compete, and then he had to pull out, so she took over for him and came in, kind of last minute a few weeks before. And so the most impressive thing about her was her deadlift. And Ilennis, you got more reps than she did, I think, which is crazy.
For me, I think that was the hype and more than anything else, because on training, the most reps that I have done in deadlifts was 7 reps in that weight. So I think it was just the hype of the moment and the adrenaline going on.
Yeah, so if we take it was double digits if I remember correctly. Yeah, 14 reps. That's amazing.
That was double my
and
PR.
Sarah hit 11 herself, so
Technically, she got kind of like 12, but she let go the bar like way from the top, so they took out one of her reps. That's what happened.
What was the weight for the deadlift for your class?
270, 275.
That's impressive. I mean, even 14 reps at any weight is that's a cardio workout. Like that's no longer a strength thing, I don't think.
I mean, I honestly thought she was gonna take the deadlifts because I've seen her, her all Instagram. She trains a lot in deadlift, and as I said, the most that I got in training was 7, and that was it. So
sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I was saying in training, she hit a 395 deadlift for a one rep max, which let's call it a 400-pound deadlift for a 16-year-old is just freaking. Yeah, so you won the press medley, you won the deadlift, second in yoke. So I guess that flipping cross member worked out for you. And then we had the carry medley. So the carry was farmers and sandbag, right? So you want to walk us through how that went?
Yeah, so that was the one shocking, because the carry, like where the handle was, it was just like a very small one, so I couldn't choose where I put my hands. So I think that kind of like threw me off a little bit, because I've been training with 155 every single time, sometimes 165. So it was a bit heavier in there, but that definitely felt way different than on training. The sandbag was way easier because I was training with a sandbag, like not the kind of like round one, but the other one that the men's were using, because it was like more like rectangle one. So having that different one was way more easier than the one that I have in training, because us being so big, like if I didn't got it right at the exact place, I would drop it.
Interesting. And then on the farmers, I'm interested to know because Isaac and I kind of teamed up on another show back in January where the farmers' handles ended up being like painted and very slick. So how were the grips on these farmers at Central Georgia?
I found it pretty okay. I had my left hand was slipping a little bit, right, like at the maybe 40 feet mark, but I didn't felt they were like too slippery. They just felt way more heavier than any other time that I trained them.
And then how about you, Charlie? What'd you think of the grips?
They were very slick compared to what I'm used to training on. I ended up dropping it, not because it was heavy, but just I didn't get a good enough grip for how slick it was. Pinkerton did the same thing. He just dropped it. And farmers' carries are usually something I'm spectacular at, so I was a little disappointed.
Yeah. Like
But I think
saying,
we were using different handles. Not all of them were not the same.
So we were using different.
Oh, really? Okay. That's interesting.
What was the weight for yours, Charles?
280, I think. It wasn't very heavy. Just it was slick.
Yeah, but with a slick handle, that's still, I mean, that's a lot of weight to hang on to if it's not grabbing back.
Right.
Yeah, let me go. I have the weights somewhere. Let me go grab them. So, like, do you usually train on a knurled handle, or like, what was the biggest difference with these?
So I've got some farmers handles in my home gym, and they have knurling. And then I go to Strongman Saturdays at Growler's Gym. And the problem with Growler's Gym is Todd has purchased the best equipment in the world. Therefore, I am just spoiled.
Well, if you make it to Arnold's or something, then that pays off because they're always using like the nice stuff. But anything else, you're using someone's garage gym equipment. It seems like half the time.
Right.
What do you typically do for farmers?
Yeah, so here we go with the weights, by the way. So, Charlie, you were open men's heavyweight, right? So it is 280. That's a heavy farmer. Wow. And a 250 sandbag.
And that was for 100 feet, right?
50 feet.
50 for the farmers and 50 back with the sandbag.
Right. So, I mean, when I'm training for weight, I'll usually work up to about 330-ish for a 50-foot run. That's what I can do for a 50-foot run. If I'm doing distance or speed, I'll obviously go lighter than that. But
okay, so you're right. You are spectacular at farmers.
Totally agree.
And then for the novice women's heavyweight, it was
150.
150. There you go, and 150 sandbag as well. Charlie, what'd you think of the yoke?
So the white yoke that the Fields has is the wobbliest yoke I have ever touched in my life. I'm spoiled at my house. I've got a Rogue yoke at my house. At Todd's gym, he has some contraption that was custom made that is about 10 times as good as the Rogue yoke. So that was really wobbly. So I picked it up, took about 10 steps, and was literally sideways. Had to set it down, reset, and pick it back up. But they had several different yokes there. So I don't. How was the one that y'all used?
I think mine was white as well.
Oh, you used the white one as well?
Yeah.
It was so wobbly.
And you know, I put my hands all to the side because in here is just nothing.
Right.
So it was a bit wobblier than the one that I use at the gym. I forgot the brand that we have at the gym, but I think maybe it's a Rogue one as well.
So with 700 pounds on it, I recognized that I had already beaten Pinkerton, and I was not going to beat Patton, so I didn't even try to finish. I just set it down and walked away.
Yeah, I mean, I bring this up on the show all the time. I think that people in the audience watching may not understand or appreciate how much strategy is involved in strongman. So not just kind of going out and doing as much as you can do on every event, but as you just mentioned, kind of playing the points game and knowing what needs to be done. Do either of you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was very funny because on the press medley, I knew I just had to do 5 or 6 and I was good. But it was the first event, and Cody behind me, he kind of like said something about, that looks so easy, I bet you can do 10. So my mind just clicked. It's like, I'm not going to do just 5, I'm going to do the 10.
one thing I dislike about how Central Georgia was run, and it helped me tremendously because I was the first person to sign up and I was the tallest, so I got to do every event last, but they did not switch the orders of the athletes. So, I mean, if you look at my scores, Pinkerton, I was basically competing to make sure I beat Pinkerton because Patton was significantly stronger than me. So Pinkerton zeroed the press medley, so I knew I only needed to get 1. So I just did 1 rep, saved my energy. The deadlift, I probably actually could have matched Patton on a good day, but my deadlift was not feeling good that day. So I stopped because I was going to waste a ton of energy. So I stopped early. Yoke, as I said, and then got through to the end, was tied going into the Atlas Stones, and I knew I could beat anyone on Atlas Stones, so just took it.
I think that's a big thing with strongman too, is just understanding like what's my strength, what's my weakness, what can I go harder on, and what can I just try and get 1 rep and hang in there basically.
Moving events are usually my strength because I'm tall and lean for a heavyweight.
There you go.
Yeah, and then Charlie, how was it like competing against Pinkerton and Will Patton? Like, what are your memories of the event? What do you have to say about those guys?
Oh, they're great guys. Patton, honestly, going back to the sad thing, Patton literally performed CPR for 20 minutes during the middle of the show. So the fact that he was able to take first place and he expended, like, I don't know if any of y'all have ever performed CPR. I was CPR certified at one point, but it's physically exhausting to do for any period of time. The longest I've ever done it was my certification training when I was like 15 or so in Boy Scouts. And you're absolutely wiped by the end of it. And he was sitting there doing it for 20 minutes and still came out absolutely on top. My heart goes out to him and to Shannon and Shannon's family. It was insane.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the other thing about Josh is he's not typically heavyweight from what he told me. He kind of likes to take on the challenge. He's closer to middleweight naturally, and just figured like these middleweight weights aren't enough for me, and I'm going to challenge myself. And you got to take your hat off to him for something like that.
He was able to throw the weights around. I have competed with him against him before at a couple months ago, I think. And he beat me then. So he came in at Central Georgia with a little bit of a groin injury, so he could definitely do better than his performance that we
Yeah,
saw.
he did excellent on the deadlift.
There's no one who's going to beat him in the deadlift, particularly at middleweight.
Yeah, you can see that from all the prep. He is outstanding with deadlift. He's very good with overhead pressing as well.
I mean, he couldn't overhead press. He zeroed the overhead press. So
yeah, I don't know what happened there. He looked good in prep, but then again, you know better than I do.
So yeah, I think he'd never touched a keg before. So I was very surprised that he wasn't able to get the keg up, but you know, if you aren't able to train with the implements, because he works out of his garage gym, and I don't think, like, I go to Strongman Saturdays at Growler's Gym, but I don't think he does anything like that. So he doesn't have as much access as I do.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things with Strongman too. I mean, even just looking at overhead alone, because there's log, there's axle, there's dumbbell, there's keg, there's tons of variations of every single movement. And so I think that's one of the things that makes Strongman so much fun, is because every movement can have a dozen different variations. And to be an effective Strongman, you need to be, really good at every single variation of whatever these are, or be able to find enough competitions to go to nationals. And just hope that nationals has something that you're good at.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then Will Patton is actually pretty famous for an overhead press he did where, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but he passes out during the attempt, recovers, and then successfully makes the lift.
Yeah, that is insane.
If I remember correctly, it was a 300-pound log.
Did he just snort a ton of ammonia and go back in, or what did it do?
He sent me the video. Let me see if I can bring it up. It's on Facebook. I don't think anything happened in between. He just came to. But why don't you two chat amongst yourselves about something interesting, and I'll try to find it.
Yeah, so we were talking about yoke a little bit ago, Charlie, and it's so funny talking about how the stability of the implement can change the movement so much. Because I did a rope yoke a while back, and we worked it up to, I think it was 885 or something like that for 50 feet. And I was like, I actually feel really good doing this. Right. And then 2 days ago, I was doing some yoke walks with the spud straps, and I got up to 500 something pounds. And I was like, this is crazy. Every time you misstep at all, they just swing one way or the other. And I was like, it completely changes the movement based off of how stable the yoke is, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, that I've been told that if I'm going to buy a safety squat bar, I should buy the cheap Titan safety squat bar, just because you can only put so much weight on it before it just becomes so whippy that it's impossible to squat on it.
Yeah, same with a lot of camber bars too. The gym that I was going to, or that I've been going to a little bit on the weekends here, their camber bars are really, I don't think they're going to break or anything, but they're flimsy. And so with a camber bar, you already get that swinging motion. But these ones, they also bend this way. And so you blast up out of the squat too fast, it'll whip the weights up too. So I was like, that's kind of nice, I guess, for working on stability throughout the entire movement, but it just adds another another thing to be careful about when you're doing your squat.
Right.
So the equipment that you use changes the movement dramatically. That's for sure. Especially at heavier weights, I guess. If you're doing, a camber bar squat with a 25 on each side, you won't notice it as much as when you have 400 on the bar. Like it's going to change it a lot just because of momentum and all that. Dang.
So that's the video. That's where he passes out. See his
Wow.
feet go up. And yeah, he kind of just collects himself. I don't see, there's no ammonia in between. I think he's saying, give me a second.
Well, I have been asked to get off the internet because I'm killing the internet speeds. I said this would be a problem.
Yeah, no worries, buddy. We're very blessed that you were able to join us, and thanks for all the perspective on Central Georgia. And we'll get together sometime soon again. Thank you,
Perfect.
Charlie.
Yeah, thanks for swinging by, man.
All right, have a great weekend, brother.
We should make sure before we forget to give a shout out to his Instagram account as well. So if anyone wants to subscribe to him, they have the option.
Let me do both. So I'll go over and share that. So yeah, that was the lift. Isn't that crazy?
Oh yeah, totally.
That's insane. I've never had that happen to me yet, and I hope it never does. But we'll see.
Yeah, so we'll kind of take a promo break right now. For anybody watching who would like to follow our guest, Ilennis is ILE_Edrian on Instagram, and then Charlie Jackson is, get it right, of course, when I want to bring it up, it doesn't come up. It's Charlie the Fat, but I'm trying to bring up the right one. There he is. Charlie.the.fat. That's Charles Jackson. Charlie Jackson, who was just on with us. Here's actually the podium. So Charlie came in second, and he was talking about Josh Pinkerton as well. Not sure why it's taken so long to render here, so you can see it small. Josh is here on the left. Will Patton in the middle, who won the class, and then Charlie on the right.
And Charlie says he's the weakest strongman in the Southeast.
Is that what he said?
Up at the top there, it says weakest strongman in the Southeast.
Yes.
Interesting title. I've never thought of claiming that.
Yeah, I think I disagree.
Is that similar to like the shortest giant or the tallest dwarf or whatever they have?
Yeah, and then Ilennis, let's see. Do you have any pictures with your buddies, Earl and Seth? Let's see.
No, I put them on Facebook, I think. Yeah. And then I put it maybe on my story, so it already went away.
All right, cool. So why don't we do this? Isaac, is it cool if we go over and see what I've been working on this week, and then we'll jump back?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So here are the videos I've been working on this week, or that I've released this week. And so a few of them, and I don't know, Isaac, I'm having an issue with YouTube because it's not showing my newest stuff for some reason. I have a newer video with Donna Moore, for example, after the Steve Schmidt one. That is not displaying.
I am also new to YouTube, so I can't answer that one for you.
Yeah, so anyway, the ones that did release, as we can see, since our last episode of Strong and Stronger would be, I had some Central Georgia's videos. So Uncle Boo, who is Brian Pankey, he competed lightweight masters at Central Georgia on 2 replaced knees. So shout out to Brian, everyone's favorite uncle, right? That's what he goes by. And we'll be interviewing him soon on my channel. Also, Central Georgia's strongest man, Matt Tillotson. So he did very well. Also, he's a shorter competitor, so has a little bit more trouble with stones than some of the others, but did very well also at Central Georgia's. Tyler Haynes came in on less than a week's notice to Central Georgia. So shout out to Tyler. He goes by the world's strongest blacksmith. So check out my video about him. That's really interesting. And then Ben Kakua competed there as well. And he did very well. I think he came in third in his class of like 12 or 13, something like that. So Ben did very well. I think he was originally going to compete open and ended up competing novice and really rocked it, really did very well. And then to round it off, I had the end of my interview with Steve Schmidt, who is the current super heavyweight Mauser block overhead world record holder and hell of a nice guy. So we had a great chat, and this is kind of part two. So the end of my interview with Steve. And then, as I mentioned, I interviewed Donna Moore as well. That one was a little lengthy, so broken up into parts. Part 3 just released today about that, so that one is out as well. And again, not sure why it's not showing here. So check out all my videos about Central Georgia's Strongest Man, interviews. I actually, like, it's serendipitous. Is that the word? Like, I did a spotlight on Shannon before his passing, so if you want to check that one out as well. Gabby Willits, his daughter, was actually on our live show before, and I've spotlighted her as well. This one is right here. And so, yeah, again, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning of our show, we want to mention again, unfortunately, the untimely passing of Shannon Willits at Central Georgia's Strongest Man last week has prompted a GoFundMe by the Fields family who run that particular competition. And really want to urge anybody who is able to consider donating. It's a great cause. He's a great guy, always very kind to me, and his daughter likewise. Just really a wonderful family. And I'm sure they would really appreciate your help if you can do it. So we'll put the information about the GoFundMe in the description for this stream. That being said, we can go back to our discussion and make sure to go like this stream. Subscribe to my channel, and then watch a bunch of my stuff. Like, I'm putting out videos 3 times a week for you. And when there's a competition like Central Georgia, it's every day and sometimes multiple times a day. And I'll round it off by saying we'll keep the surprise so we keep you coming back. But 2 gentlemen who will be competing at World's Strongest Man this year, 2021. And one of them who was also at World's Ultimate Strongman, and will also be at the Shaw Classic, and I think maybe the other one too. Those 2 gentlemen have committed to do interviews with me, so you'll be seeing those coming up on the channel very soon as well. I won't say who they are, but 2 guys competing at World's Strongest Man this year will be on my channel for interviews. So keep watching, keep subscribing, keep telling everybody you know to subscribe. I mean, I think I'm doing a good job. If you agree, subscribe. It takes a second and doesn't cost anything. So that's my spiel.
Oh, I had one quick question. Do you know if Uncle Boo's going to try and enter the Guinness Book of World Records for competing on 2 replaced knees or anything like that?
I don't know. I think he might enter the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most number of people's favorite uncle.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And then we also have a question in the comments too for Ilennis. When do you think you'll switch to open class, and well done on the podium placing? Oh, I think you're still muted.
There. Okay. So, I don't know. I'm thinking my next competition would be in July, at the end of July in Florida. I'm still not completely decided if I'm going open or novice with that one, depending of how training goes. And my trainers at Totem Training said, they believe in me more than I do. So if they think I can go open, I'll go open.
Well, you did pretty well. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you did really well with your class. So I mean, like we said too, it depends on the weights and the events and all that sort of stuff too. If there's something that you can't really train for, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But
also, in a way, you're in the fortunate position that you came in second, so you can decide. If you came in first, I think you're forced to go open.
Yeah, I'll have to go open.
And by the way, the person asking that question in the comments is our friend Joshua Hillen. He also competes. He competes out of Indiana Strong, Christina Bangma's gym. So Yeah, he's always active in the comments, asking the best questions. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, he's always good at keeping the comment section moving, it seems like.
And so, Ilennis, do you want to talk a little bit about, well, kind of how you got into Strongman and blend that in with how you met all these other wonderful people like Earl and Seth and Jared and Big Game Jay? Like, how's that? And Mary, like, how does that all fit together?
So technically, before all this happened last year, I played roller derby. So I was having a lot of trouble getting, like, I needed to, like, my laps, to be able to join the team and play with the team. So I joined the gym to increase my cardio and my to be able to do that. So I didn't went to be on heavy lifting or anything. So Gordy in there, he kept my programming and all. And then when everything got to halted, like stopped, I saw like they did compete in Strongman and Central Georgia Strongman the year before. So that's how I knew about that. So when we knew this was going to happen this year around October or so, November, that's when I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. So we switched the training from like stamina or endurance to strength. So technically that happened kind of like starting in November. And so I kind of like switched from Gordy to Seth. And since Earl, we used to train with Seth at the gym. So that's how we all train in the same gym. That's how I came to know all of them.
Yeah, I mean, so I got talking with Jared first and then Seth, and Seth kind of told me all this backstory. And he was amazing as well, by the way, at Central Georgia, as was Earl. Earl was, he's just so focused. He's great to watch because, like, that yoke looked like, you could tell it was heavy for him, right? But, like, he just never gave up. Like, I watched him do that yoke, and I was thinking, if that were me, I would have put it down like 10 times by now, and he just never stopped. He's just so focused. I mean, that's my takeaway with Earl. Kind of, what do you think about watching him train and watching him compete?
Yeah, I know he said for the yoke, for some reason, when he was doing the height the day before, it was okay, but it was not the kind of like, he didn't feel it to be right the day of the competition. That's why he was kind of like rocking a lot. But not on training, he's the same way. Like when he was going to do his set or whatever, he's just like that, phrase. And then when he's done, he's just like, you click a switch and he's a total different person.
Yeah, I mean, let me see if the video will play in his prep. But like the one thing I noticed most about Earl is just like he's fast. Like I saw him. Where are these farmers that he was doing? And it's funny because like Seth is the same way. Like you watch them do farmer. Seth is a middleweight version of Earl. Like they're both like lightning bolts when you watch them train farmers. It might be this one. Let's see. Yeah, it's just like really fast. Like I think I might have even made a joke in the comments like, oh, you're just going to keep going out the door and go grab some lunch?
Yeah, because actually our turf is just like 40 feet. So that's why they were going a little bit out. And that was another thing. I always did 40 feet and 40 feet. I never do the whole 50 like at the competition.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and then here's kind of Earl and Seth working stones. Well, Earl working stones with Seth kind of spotting, if you will. And then, let's bring up Seth's profile too while we're at it. So, I mentioned this to Seth. I think it's like so funny. His whole like brand or characters. This is me, Seth Thompson. So like everything he does, like this is me, Seth Thompson, on the swings with my son. This is me, Seth Thompson, lifting something heavy over my head. It's pretty funny. And that's a nice photo there of everybody. How about Jalen? Like, how did you meet him?
So I think he usually trains like it is a house, but sometimes he would just jump into the gym and go there. So there were like maybe a couple of times that I saw him there, and he cheered me on the yoke when I was practicing it, because that was one of the things that I got scared of it this year. I think we jumped into 360 pounds on it, and I was very unstable, and I ended up misaligning my patella, so I had to go to the doctor. But my chiropractor, he was so good. Then after technically a week, 2 weeks, he was like, everything looks good, everything, it's okay, you can go back and train with the yoke. But that was something that made me respect the yoke and be like, no, maybe I don't want to go that heavy or something.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned yoke, because that's the thing that first got my attention with Jalen. So, Isaac, I don't know if the screen's large enough for you to read it, but you see that yoke is 915.
I was looking at that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the heaviest I've done is like an 885, something like that, and we didn't go that far. We were going, I think we did 25 feet, something like that. And I to be honest, I did drop it like twice and reset and keep going. Yoke's a crazy one. It's I know a lot of people think that it's easier just because you throw it on your back and walk with it, but especially once your feet start moving and your hips start moving, if you're unstable at all, I mean, that weight starts swinging all over the place, and it'll mess you up if you're not careful.
Yeah, he's a monster. I think Jalen has a football background, right? Or maybe he coaches.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know that much about him, but I can
But
see
yeah,
him playing football.
just to give you a comparison. So the reason why I said it was 915 is because the competition yoke was 625. I mean, he's that much stronger.
That's not even fair. When you're going against people like that, you're like, oh, come on. This is like your warm up, and this is someone else's max. Come on. All right.
Yeah, once I saw that, I was like, all right, we got to watch this guy. He's something to watch. Really nice guy too. And Ilennis, is that Jared in the background coaching him?
Yes, that him in the background. Actually, he was pretty much on the competition, like making sure it's like, did you warm up? Let's go and warm up. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Because Seth was in his zone, so he was up there doing his thing. So she's like, I'm your trainer now.
It's always nice to have people like that too, though, who are gonna root for you, but also give you advice or knock you down if you need it.
Yeah, what's his Instagram again? I can't seem to find him. Is it JAROD?
There.
Oh,
like
just had him.
that
There
first one.
There we go. Yeah, so here's the coach to the stars. Jared, if I heard right, Jared didn't compete himself because he has a powerlifting meet coming up later this year. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's because he's gonna do some. He's been training a lot on deadlifts.
And what's his weight class?
That one I have no idea.
Yeah. What do you think he looks like there, Isaac? Middleweight?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe a middleweight. I don't know his height though. I mean, because he looks a little taller, so he could be. I mean, he could be getting close to 300, but I'm assuming he's probably lighter than that. Yeah, I'm not positive. I just saw. We have another comment too from Farm Shrine again. It says, my experiences with going open is it's not about winning, but getting to go against some experienced lifters. You learn a ton. So there's Josh Ian. Lots of advice. He's a great guy. I feel like we need to call him out too and be like, hey, this is our I don't know what you'd call him, secret commentator, something like that.
I'll have him come on and do color commentary. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know Josh, by the way, he's Farm Strength on Instagram. Definitely a great follow.
Yeah, definitely worth following. He's always putting great videos and everything up. So and he's always upbeat about everything too. So that's always nice to see, especially with the world situation. It's nice to follow people who are upbeat and moving forward and keeping their life on the high end there.
Yeah, he's competing soon in May at Christina Bagma's show, Savage Strength. The interesting thing too is Albert Jonas Brand, who used to be there in Indiana and is now out in Minnesota, where Kratos Strength Equipment is. Andrew, he's coming back to compete there as well, and Josh beat him last time. So it's the you're muted, Isaac, but yeah, it's going to be the grudge match, I think, because Josh is a shorter guy like me, and Albert's a bigger guy like Isaac, and so Josh beat him out.
Yeah, and I think Albert's improved a little bit since last time too, but that'll be fun to watch again. I mean, because Josh gives it his heart and soul when he competes. It looks like from watching stuff with him, he doesn't. If you want to beat him, you need to bleed on the weights a little bit or something.
Let me bring up his profile. Yeah, so this is Josh Hill in here. It's cool. He has a picture from when he was a kid.
He kind of has a baby face. Is that why he has Josh? Is that why you have the massive beard covering everything?
I started asking a lot of competitors what's up with the power beard. It seems to work, so I don't know. Maybe that's my problem. I'll grow a big beard and then I'll just suddenly deadlift 500 pounds.
Yeah, I was growing mine out for a while, and then finally my wife told me she didn't really care for it that much, and so I shaved most of it off last night, and just off the chin area, I think I got almost 4 inches off. I was like, oh wow, that happened in 5 weeks. Woo!
And by the way, Josh, if you want to jump on, let me know. Yeah, so maybe that's the secret, Isaac. I don't know. Did your lifts go up when you started growing a beard?
Not that I noticed. Maybe I didn't give it enough time. Maybe it's kind of like Samson. You got to let it grow for 10 years, and then all of a sudden the strength comes to you, I guess.
Gotcha. See, like my circus dumbbell's improving, but the problem is it's due in part to advice I got from Anthony San Lorenzo, who does have a beard, but it's due in part from advice I got from Leifa Ingalls, who clearly does not. So I don't know.
I think Leifa is an exception to every rule, though, because she's just a beast. There's no way around it. So,
Ilennis, have you ever done circus dumbbell in training?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, we check out our. It was 2 weeks ago, Isaac. Check out our live stream from there.
Yeah.
We went through. She has kind of a clinic, I guess you would call it, or tutorial on how to do circus, and I tried doing it her way, and it's way easier than what I was doing.
Okay.
Well, and circus is miserable anyways, though, because, and I guess it depends on which dumbbell you have as well, but just the grip alone, it's a super fat grip, and so it's hard to hang on to. And even if you get it up to the shoulder, into the shoulder rack position, it just sucks. There's not really an easy way about circus dumbbell. It's a miserable
And you say
lift.
you have bigger hands than me.
Yeah, I have 2 to 3 XL hands, and I still struggle with it. So it's still, it's just.
I'm sitting here with my mediums.
Same, small.
Yeah.
I get so Ilennis, I get the fat grips. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They come in 3 different colors, and I think the blue is the most common, and then there's like an XL one. But the blue, I believe, it makes it 2.5 inch on the grip, and I just use that. But one of these days, I'll get a real circus, like with the the open ended sort, because I'm using plates now and they hurt my shoulder, right? Like the plates are like digging into my shoulder, so I need grip wise I'm good, but as far as the plates, not so much. But yeah, I mean, just using her technique, I'm working on like a PR that's 10 pounds more than I was before, just by switching the way that I lift it up.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
impressive, though.
Yeah, and I'm not lifting weights like they are, or even like Isaac is, but like, I was I was having trouble. I was having trouble with 80 pounds before, and I'm working on 90 now. Just from the way she does it is, you don't stand over the dumbbell. You kind of stand over it, and then you take a big step back and reach as far as you can reach to grab it. So when you lift it off the ground, it swings back between your legs and then swings back forward with the momentum, and use that to get it up. So you use almost no effort to get it up, and you have 90% of your strength left for the press.
Mm-hmm.
So that made all the difference for me. And then Anthony's tip, Anthony San Lorenzo, who's a middleweight pro, he's actually competing at Clash on the Coast soon. His tip was when you press. So for me, it was getting away from me. So when you press, you have to shift your hips underneath it to keep your kind of center of gravity right underneath it. So doing those two things made a big difference for me, just without even getting any stronger.
Well, you even see a lot of people too, because with the way they'll rock their shoulders too. And so then instead of pushing straight up, you're pushing more out at that angle. But because the way you're tilting your torso a little bit, it seems like with a lot of strongman, a lot of them are easy at first attempt, and then you get more into it and you realize that there's more and more technique for each different variation. Because even with the globes versus the loadable, the plate loaded circus dumbbells, there's a lot of variations in technique between both of those, and they're both just a circus dumbbell press. But
yeah, so Ilennis, what was the first event that got your attention for strongman? Like, what was kind of your first love event, and is that still your favorite?
Well, I always like stones, and of course, that's not my favorite. But yeah, I really like the pressings. That's what I like the most. At the beginning, I was training with a different log. It was like way smaller, and so when I switched to the one that was at competition, it was like 10 inches. I was like, this is way easier, because I always had trouble like keeping my elbows out. So with that one being bigger and the handles are weighed out, it kind of like forced me to do that, and it felt way easier than with the smaller lug at the beginning.
Interesting. And then so aside from log, what else do you like pressing? Anything? Axle, whatever?
Yeah, actually this week I was supposed to go kind of like lighter, so yeah, that was the first thing. I went back to the gym. I was like, I want to do the axle press.
Nice. So what's your max on axle?
I think we haven't worked on a max. The most I did was the like 140, because we went over comp weight, and I did probably 6 reps or so.
Nice.
That was after doing 1 rep with the dumbbell, 1 rep with the log, and then the axle.
Yeah, that's awesome. Holy Fire and Forge, Jim is here. What's up? What's up to you, Holy Fire, Forge, and Jim? That might be Tyler Haynes, I wonder.
I'm not sure. I don't recognize that one.
He is the world's strongest blacksmith, so it must be him.
Odds are definitely good.
Tyler, if that's you, let us know, buddy. Yeah, so I like lifting natural stones just because they're around my yard. And so it's kind of the easiest thing. Yeah, it is, Tyler, by the way. Yeah, it's just the easiest thing to get my hands on, right? Like without getting other equipment. I had to build a retaining wall and saw a bunch of stones over there and needed to be over there, and became a good workout for me. So yeah, I like lifting weird stuff. Did you so Ilennis, as a kid, was this something that you did? Like, here's something that no one else wants to lift. It seems like fun.
When I was a child, my mom would say like at 2 or 3 years old that I would go below the table, like dining table. I would just lift it up. So I guess it come from there.
That's overhead pressing. There you go. Yeah, it's funny because Corey Butler told me, I asked her, how do I increase my overhead press? And she said, do seated presses. So there you go. I should sit down under the table and lift the table.
Yeah.
Just make sure none of your kids are sitting on the table so they don't fall off or anything in the meantime.
Hey, that's what they get for sitting on the table.
Right?
That's funny because when my wife and I first got married, I went ahead and built our dining room table and stuff out of a bunch of hardwood boards and stuff that I had. And so I built it for free, basically. But it's probably like 120 pounds or so. It's a pretty hefty dinner table. And my little boy recently, he's 2.5, something like that now. And he's recently found out that he can crawl underneath there and he'll push on it and he'll get a little bit of daylight under the legs once in a while. But then also sometimes he stands up under there and hits his head on it. So that's, less fun. It goes both ways, I guess. So, Ilennis, if you had any advice for someone considering going to their first novice strongman competition, what would you recommend? If it's just someone who's have fun, there you go. That's
have fun,
good,
train heavy, don't kill yourself pretty much. Because that was one of my things when I started. Since it was more for stamina, I used to train 5 days a week. Then when Seth was like, no, we're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I was like, but that feels like nothing. But as long as I keep progressing, I was like, I'm definitely needing that day in between before lift. So even like going to the gym is important, resting as well.
Yeah. That's one thing that I've noticed, because when I was 19, 20 years old, I could definitely go 6 days a week, hit it hard every time and everything. Just turned 30, so kind of over the hill a little bit. I need a little bit more rest between my workouts. And now that, most of my deadlift sessions are 550 plus or whatever, starting to hit that point where it's like, yeah, I need a good 48 hours between each workout session to actually be able to go back into the gym, because otherwise I just feel beat, And,
by the way, that's Isaac's way to slightly insult himself and really insult me, because I'm 45.
Yeah, we're all trying to catch up to you, John. Okay, sooner or later we'll all get to your point.
It's wisdom, man. You're just trying to catch my wisdom.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, everyone at some point they have to stop being an athlete as much and start being a coach. So we'll just say that you're entering the coaching phase of your life.
By the way, Ilennis, you're so famous now, says Gordon.
Hey. You've got fans.
That's my trainer.
There you go.
And by the way, if the two of you don't mind, I have Tyler who can join us.
Yeah, bring them on. I'm down.
What's up, Tyler?
Nothing much. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for jumping on, man. So tell us all about how you first got into strongman. Your background's in blacksmithing, right?
Yeah, I've always been strong. I started blacksmithing when I was young, and it just built from there. Blacksmithing really meant a lot of manual labor, so it really involves a lot of muscle work.
A lot of full body work, I would imagine.
Yeah, swinging sledgehammers, cranking blowers, moving the hot metal around. It can get quite sweaty.
So you took Central Georgia's Strongest Man on less than a week's notice, right? So like, how did your rushed prep go, and kind of how did the competition go for you?
I feel like I did good. I could have been better. That was actually the first time I'd repped 500 for deadlift. Even though I have a 605 for my max deadlift PR, I'd never repped 500 before. So that's always been the way for me. And the yoke, like I can pick up a very heavy yoke when it's in a spot, but moving with a yoke, I need practice with that.
Yeah, if I remember right, when you were prepping with the yoke, you had like giant tires on it, right? And they were kind of getting in the way.
Yeah, I had.
Right?
Yeah, I have that. My yoke is made out of 2-inch pipe and fittings, and I had used every weight I had access to in my gym that had 2-inch holes, because the gym that I normally go to had changed their insurance policy, and I had my log, my axle, and my yoke up at the gym, and they changed their insurance policy, and I wasn't allowed in the gym anymore. I had to take all my stuff out of the gym and take it back home to my little place, and I only have access to like 680 pounds of weight, including those 2 tires.
Hey, man, kudos to you for being innovative and making it work.
Yeah.
So, talking about blacksmithing, what's the coolest thing you ever made?
I'm working on a hunga-munga throwing knife right now for a customer. It's like a mix between a very large throwing star and a throwing axe. It's from Africa. It's very nice little knife.
Awesome. Do you post pictures of your stuff on Instagram, or do you have a website?
I have a Facebook, and I'm trying to get a little more into it. I'm in a lot of groups, and I just hover in groups, and I've been trying to post more of my strongman stuff and get out more.
Yeah, man. Anything we can do to get your name out, for sure.
Yeah, I've got. I did a claymore a couple years ago, and I did a katana a little while back. I got on my Facebook page is Holy Fire Forge and Gym, which is also my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with those because I watch the Forged in Fire show.
Yeah. I've been wanting to do Forged in Fire, just busy schedule.
Yeah, for sure, I can imagine. So what was your favorite event at Central Georgia?
The deadlift, because it's the thing I did best on. The farmers, I was surprised with how I did farmers that I didn't come in last place because I only got them like 17 feet on farmers, and like my grip for a timed event, I did. If you go look on my YouTube channel, have a little thing that was just posting highlights throughout the year of stuff. And one of my things, I was doing a Hercules hold training, and I had 150 pounds in each hand, and I held it for 1 minute and 45 seconds. And then,
that's awesome.
But like moving and holds, I'm really good. Like holds, I'm really good at, but moving with weight, I'm not so good at. So I've been training and trying to do that better.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking earlier with Ilennis about the how the grips were constructed on the farmers. Like, what did you think of them? Were they grippy enough for you?
It felt like more of a grip that should have gone on a frame because they were smooth and didn't have any knurling. And they were also, I think they're like 1.5 inches in diameter too. They were slightly bigger than what I'm used to training with.
Yeah, what's typical on farmers? 1 1/4?
I think 1 1/4.
Yeah.
Quarter. I think what a barbell is.
Yeah, I think a typical barbell is 1 1/4. Unless you're putting a fat grip on it like I do.
Yeah. What I was looking forward to is the press method. I'd never press a beer keg. I practiced with a big 100-pound propane tank that was filled. It's a lot bigger, and I got it overhead, and I had a little propane tank that I filled with sand, and I figured if I could get past the keg, I'd do well on the log and the axle. But that keg, I just could not get it up on the first event.
How heavy was your keg when you
It was a 200-pound keg, and I had pressed a 200-pound propane tank with the propane tank empty weighs 100 pounds, and then full of liquid propane it weighs another 100 pounds, and so it comes out right at 200 pounds.
Okay.
My nephew's behind me.
Now he's famous, I guess.
Yeah, so it was 200-pound keg, 230 log, 230 axle.
Yeah. My best on log is 270. My best on axle is like 260. 260. I'm better with a neutral grip than I am with that type of grip. And most of the time, if I can get it to my shoulders, I can get it overhead. But that keg was just so awkward for me.
What'd you think about the stone? So you had a 300-pound stone. How did that go for you?
I broke it off the ground, and it was big. It was a very big stone. I think it was 20 inches in diameter, and we have one stone at the gym, and it's 330, but it's only 17 inches in diameter. It's a lot smaller, and I've lapped it before, and so if I had some practice with some bigger stones, I believe I could get better on that event. And working in the granite here in Elberton, along with doing my blacksmith work, we have a lot of block offcuts, and I have one that is it's 13 by 13, and granite weighs 180 pounds per cubic foot, and it's like right at 200 pounds, and I've practiced with it a lot, and so I figured if I get a smaller stone, I could do a heavy stone if it's smaller.
Right, diameter-wise, yep. Yeah, I mean, speaking of stones, we got our good buddy Albert Brand in the comments, and he's a master of stones. So for anybody in the audience watching this discussion who wants to learn how to do stones the right way or get better at it, there is a video on Garage Gym Life Media that they showed during Central Georgia's Strongest Man with Albert Brand and Andrew from Kratos Strength Equipment, kind of doing a tutorial on how to do stones the right way, and you definitely want to check that out. It was super informative.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah, awesome. So did you two, Tyler, did you and Ilennis cross paths at all during the competition?
I think so. I saw her walking around.
Yeah, she had a pretty exciting stone event we were talking about earlier. The crowd really got behind her on that stone over bar.
How'd you do?
Challenging.
Yeah. I went and looked at the scoreboard later on, and I feel like everyone was pretty good. Good. I got to get better before Georgia's in June. I got 3 months of practice before Georgia's in June. But the events at this year's Georgia is really going to suit me. It's going to be good, I think.
Awesome. What events do they have there?
It's a safe press overhead, and then it's a tire deadlift. Mark hasn't. He said it's not going to be an 18-inch. And he hasn't told us whether it's going to be a 13 or 15. And then it's a 3 sandbag carry for 50 feet each. And then it is a farmer's medley. And then it is a medley over a stone of steel and a keg over bar. And then stone of steel, keg over the bar. And then you go back to the stone of steel and keg for as many sets of that as possible.
Awesome. And then for us uninitiated in the crowd here, and Isaac, you might want to jump in on this too. What's the main difference between stone of steel and a concrete stone?
A stone of steel is the weight can be centered and it can be adjusted. It's one size fits all. And tacky, and I've only used it twice, but I think tacky doesn't stick to it very well. Very well, is what I would say.
Oh, because it's not porous. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been able to use a stone of steel yet, but I know. From what I've heard talking to other people and stuff, that kind of sounds accurate. Whereas with Atlas stones, you're gonna get, I guess, like if you're doing an Atlas stone without tacky, it's probably more difficult than doing the stone of steel, I would think. But I guess it kind of depends on the individual as well. I
feel like without tacky, you can get more grip on a stone of steel. steel, but even using tacky, it's going to be different than an Atlas stone.
How about magnets? Are they allowed?
I wouldn't be surprised if someone's tried it.
You'd like strap magnets to your forearm, so then it just
Like put it inside the stone sleeves. Like get like magnet strips and put inside your stone sleeves.
You need some
Yo, I'm gonna patent this
ridiculously
technique. This
strong.
is mine.
You would need some insanely strong magnets to actually have it do anything, though.
Neodmio.
Yeah, right. There you go.
I'm gonna put that in the description for this live stream. Hashtag Neodmio.
All right. Well, when I open my own gym, I'll start designing my own equipment, and that'll be one of the things that I will that I'll try and mass produce.
Yeah. Cool. So, I mean, I think we're probably going to be wrapping up soon. Either of you, Tyler or Ilennis, anything kind of last words you wanted to say, or how people can follow you more than anything?
So I know now I'll be keeping posting more on Instagram. I may do a powerlifting meet as well in August. It'll be my first one. Just because I don't like to just do one thing. And yeah, that's my goal to for the couple of next months.
Awesome. And Instagram's the best place to follow you?
Instagram or Facebook, yeah.
Awesome. And then Tyler, you mentioned you're going to be doing Georgia's Strongest Man, right? What other kind of exciting stuff do you have going on, and how can people follow you?
I'm on Instagram at the World's Strongest Blacksmith. I'm on Facebook at Tyler Haynes or Holy Fire Forge and Gym. Same for my YouTube. I got Georgia's will be on June 19th, and then I have Elberton Strongest Man, the county I live in. I think we're planning for that to be in August, and the Strongest Blacksmith will be in sometime in November contest.
Yeah, that should be really cool. I want to check that out.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we want to thank you both for hopping on. I really enjoyed it, and we got a lot of great information, great interaction with the audience, and happy to have you on anytime in the future after your next competitions.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, Tyler. Take care, Ilennis. Bye-bye.